Hello, this is Raymond the Metaman, and I am bringing you today a portfolio of Metaverse coins that will do really, really well, but in a very conservative way. So now this is really important. You have to understand this. Yesterday, I made a aggressive portfolio of 10 coins in the Metaverse that I thought would go 100x. And you can see that right here. And today, you're going to get a conservative portfolio of 5 Metaverse coins that are much higher up in market cap and much more safe. So if you are risk adverse, if you're a little afraid of all this craziness that goes on, all this volatility in the cryptoverse, then this video presents a portfolio of Metaverse coins that could be more stable, more reliable, more close to the heart of a person who's a bit risk adverse. So if you want to make an investment in the Metaverse, or you've already made some and you want to compare to see how well you've done, you want to compare it to my choice, then I'm going to give you the coins that I would invest in if I were a very conservative investor. And by the way, I do have some of these coins. Now, first thing I want to show you is the top coins in the Metaverse. On your screen now, you can see the top coins in the Metaverse. Decentraland, which is the first one in the Metaverse, but the 35th overall. Axie Infinity, the Sandbox, Engine, DeFi Kingdoms, Render, Radio Kaka, Illuvium, Mobox, Vulcan Forged, UFO Gaming, and Yield Guild Games. Now, I could just choose the top 5 and I'd have my job done. But no, I did a little more research and I chose the ones that I really, really like, even though they may not be the top 5 according to market cap rank. You know what? There's something else I want to tell you. I want to tell you to subscribe. I want to tell you to like this video. I want to tell you to share it with friends who might be interested in investing. And I also want you to comment on whether you like my choice, or maybe you don't like my choice, or maybe you're upset that I left one of your favorite coins out. So please tell me about that in the comments. And what is the first one I've chosen? I've chosen Axie Infinity. Axie Infinity, it has been for quite a while the #1 Metaverse coin. It's now slipped a tiny bit, but it's been #1 for a long time. And you can see from this picture that it's very, very pretty. It's very childlike, it's very alluring, and you can see why it is so compelling. That's the little bit of fundamental analysis. Now let's look at the technical analysis. You can see on your screen right now the lifetime of Axie Infinity. It started November of 2020, and so it's barely a year or two old. And for most of its time, it sat there doing nothing. And it's only been recently that it's been active, at least in terms of price. But you can see the lowest a year ago was about 12 cents. And the highest 3 months ago was $165. But right now it's $54, which is way closer to the bottom than the top. And so this looks like a very good entry point. It's 35th in the market cap rank. So it's in the top 50 and it's a $3 billion market cap. So it's a pretty substantial coin. And that is the first coin that I would recommend to you if you were creating a reasonable, rational, conservative Metaverse portfolio. Now, the next, I would like to recommend Decentraland, because Decentraland's got a lot of hype about it. For example, the island nation of Barbados recently opened a virtual embassy in the Metaverse, in actually Decentraland's Metaverse, which caused a big, big stir. The problem is that from the technical analysis point of view, it's not a very good entry point. And so I'm passing on that one, and I'm skipping straight to my beloved Sandbox. On your screen now, you can see how pretty Sandbox is. It's delightful, it's childlike, it's entertaining. It looks like a combination between Lego and Disneyland. It's just a lot of fun, and lots of people love it. Now let's look at the technical analysis to see if it's a good entry point. On your screen, you can see the lifetime total. It started in August of 2020, so it's just a year or two old. And for looks like 75% of that time, it sat around just doing nothing. And then in November of 2021, it virtually exploded. I owned it at that time. I was very happy to enjoy that explosion. It went from basically nothing to almost $8. That was a lot of fun. It was an 8x for me, which was a lot of fun. And you can see that its all-time high was $8.40, and it's now $3.49. And so it's roughly in the middle. But even though there's no way I can substantiate from the technical analysis point of view that this is a good entry point, you see, it doesn't have any real substantial ceiling that it bounces down from, and it doesn't have a floor that it bounces up from. But I'm recommending it regardless of technical analysis, just because I love it. And I am sure that if I was projected 5 years from today, and I opened up CoinGecko.com and I looked down the list to see if Sandbox existed, I am confident that 1 year, 5 years, 10 years from now, this will be one of the major metaverses. And so I'm recommending it, even though the technical analysis doesn't really say that it's a great entry point. Number 3 is render. And I don't care who you are, I don't care what you are, you need to have render in your portfolio. Render does a job that is so special. It's so wonderful. You see, what render does is, believe it or not, render. Every time you create a video and you have to wait a while before you can actually see the video, that means the video is being processed or rendered by the website that you're on. And that rendering is more and more needed, because as metaverses multiply, as there's 10, 20, 50, 100 different metaverses, they all need rendering. The background needs rendering. All of the NFTs need rendering. The weapons, the clothing, whatever it is that is on the metaverse needs to be rendered. And the more games that come on, and games are flying onto the metaverse, the more games that come on, the more rendering is needed. And the more high definition that the creators want means even more rendering. And the best rendering coin is Render. That's where they get its name, obviously. And the cost of entry for someone else to try to compete with Render is pretty darn high. And so I think that Render is going to make it. I think it's going to be one of the big ones. And how can you have a decentralized rendering? Well, it's so clever. You see, take Disney. Let's say they create a 2-hour animated high definition movie that's going to go out on the big screen. Well, they have a computer that costs $100 million, and that computer will work night and day for weeks to render that 2-hour video. Well, if you and I made a video and we wanted to render it and we only had a laptop, it might take us months or years to render it, and that's not possible. But it's also not possible to spend $100 million just because we want to render one gigantic video. And so the coin renders come up with the brilliant decentralized tokenomics. And what they have done is they go out to ordinary people like you and me that have a computer. And they say to us, could you please let us use your computer, or at least your bandwidth, or at least your computing power when you're not using it? Well, you might say, well, when would I not be using my computer? Well, you would not be using your computer when you're sleeping, Or when you're typing, like when you're typing, you might think, well, yes, I'm using my computer. Yes, but typing uses 1/000th of 1% of the computing power of your computer. And so as a provider of bandwidth, you would get render tokens, money. You get money at the end of the month, not in fiat currency like US dollars. You would get render tokens. And whatever the render, let's say you got a certain number of render tokens that might add up to $3 or $10 or $100 each month or each year. And that's how you benefit. How does the creator benefit? Well, instead of my having to buy $100 million computer, I can get fast rendering by going to the company render, that is the coin render. And I can say, can I please get some computing power? And they would let me use the computing power of hundreds or thousands of other computers around the world. And then I would get rendered very quickly. So I would pay a few render tokens for that service. And the people that gave me their computing power for a few moments, they would get paid. And then of course, the company render or the coin render would get its percent take off the top. That's how everybody benefits. That's the story. It's a great story. Now let's look at its graph. You can see that I've clicked on maximum and it started in June of 2020. So it's about a year and a half old. And as you can see, for about 80% of its time, it did almost nothing. And then it shot way up to its all-time high just 3 months ago of almost $9. So it has been as low as 3.5 cents, and it's been as high as $9. And at the moment, it's $2.62, way closer to its bottom than its top. This looks like a really good entry point. I don't think we're ever going to see the price of render much under $2 ever again. And I can certainly see that it could go to 10 or 20 or 50 or $100. Why? Because everybody needs rendering. And here's the amazing thing. Look at the market cap rank. It's 168th. It's way low. And yet it provides such an amazing service. It's not just yet another game or yet another metaverse. It is a mandatory coin. And so I think, actually, if I could only buy one, I would buy render. Yes, I will never sell render. It's one of my most blessed holdings. Now, we've done two metaverses and a utility, the render token. And now it's time to choose a couple games, because games is the biggest thing. Do you know that if you add up all the revenue from all the Hollywood movies, all the Bollywood movies, all the private movies, add up the revenue from all the movies around the world, including revenue that the creators get from Netflix and Amazon Prime and everything. It's a gigantic number per year, but it's small compared to the revenue from games. Small. Games is actually bigger than all movies combined. So we need to choose a couple games. And the first game that I'm going to choose is Illuvium. And on your screen, you can see I put together just a few moments of a video, and that'll give you an idea of how pretty Illuvium is. Wow, isn't that exciting? It's very, very pretty. I didn't just want to show you a photograph. I wanted to show you a few moments of that video. And now on your screen, you can see the price chart. It started in March of 2021, so it is almost exactly a year old. And it started way, way low at $29, and it's been up to $1,900. But right now it's at 576, which is way closer to the bottom than the top. And it looks like it is at its floor. I don't even have to draw a horizontal line. You can see it yourself. There is a floor at almost exactly $500. It sometimes is a ceiling and it bumps up to that and falls down a bit. It's sometimes a floor, it hits it and bounces up. But right now it's fallen from 1900 all the way down to almost 500, and it bounces up every time it hits there. So I think we're never going to see illuvium much under $500. I think it's a really, really good entry point for a really important game. What is my final one? You might say, final? Why final? Because I'm choosing conservative coins, I don't need 10 or 20 or 50 of them. I don't think that any of these will drop to zero. Oh, they could, who knows? But I think they're good, solid conservative coins that'll be here 5 and 10 years from now. And so you only need 5. And what is my fifth one? My fifth one is Vulcan Forged, PYR. And you can see that it is a premium blockchain gaming ecosystem. In other words, it's not just one game, it is a collection of games which gives you a little more confidence, a little more security. Maybe some of the games that they create or promote won't do well, but then others will do well. It's like a gaming mutual fund. And so it gives you a little more security and diversity. On your screen now, you can see the maximum lifetime. It started April of 2021, so it's just under 1 year old. As normal, for the first half of its life, it did nothing. And then it shot up from about $1 to almost $50. That's a nice big rise. And right now it's at $12, so it's way closer to the bottom than the top. And if I had to draw a line, I would draw a line of a floor at about $10. And so it seems a pretty safe investment at $12. It seems that it'll hit its floor of 10 and bounce up. And so being purchased at $12 seems like a really good entry point. Now, it has a fairly high market cap rank, 209, and that's why it's both on my conservative portfolio, which I'm telling you right now, but also on my aggressive portfolio, which I told you about yesterday. And those are the 5 coins: AXS, which is Axie Infinity; Sand, which is the sandbox; rndr, which is render; ILV, which is illuvium, which is a game; and PYR, which is Vulcan Forged, which is a gaming ecosystem. And that gives you a lot of diversity and a lot of safety, and I think a good pump. I think that these coins will be around for 5 to 10 years, and I think they will grow and grow and grow. You are now far wiser than you were just 10 minutes ago. You know what? There's something else I got to tell you. This is entertainment and education. It's not investment advice. Please click on Meta in order to subscribe to my channel. And please click on this video, which is my most recent video, my previous one. And please click on that video, which Google and YouTube think is the most appropriate if you enjoyed this video.